Best Irish music on irishradio.org with Jerry Byrne.
I'm Jerry Byrne, Irish Radio it is. Since the onset of COVID and all the rest of them, speaking to many of the talented and the great and the good of Irish music and entertainment. I've got a lady who has performed well nationally and internationally from New York and Nashville, California, where she resided for several years, perfecting a repertoire, performing at hit venues such as Nashville's Bluebird Cafe, the House of the Blues in LA, New York's world-famous Mercury Lounge, playing alongside Bob Wooten of the Johnny Cash Band, Raoul Mallow of the Mavericks, Hal Ketchum, the late Hal Ketchum, also Hot House Flowers, Damien Rice, Eleanor McAvoy and Nathan Carter. This lady has also headlined at the Angelica Houston Gala event at Beverly Hilton, Los Angeles, and was awarded Best Celtic Sound from the New York International Film and Music Festival. Has made several guest appearances at the National Concert Hall and the Cork Opera House, which included the YouTube sensation Father Ray Kelly. Now, she performed her self-penned song Quiet Man to the Hollywood star Maureen O'Hara for her 90th birthday. That's quite a lot, and she's done much more. I'm delighted to say hello to County Meath, the native Maria Butterley. Maria, how are you?
I'm great, Jerry. Thanks very much for having me on your show.
It's a real pleasure. You've done a whole lot of things, despite the fact that you've put in a lifetime in a very short time here of music.
Well, it doesn't feel like a short time. I was just listening to you there, rattling off all the things. I was like, gosh, I should be even more famous than I am. But yeah, I have done quite a bit, and because I left Ireland in '94 and headed for America, and I got a green card, and away I went, and there was no stopping me then, I guess, and I just love traveling, and as a musician, that's it's in you. It's either in you or it's not, but it was for me as an artist and performer. And the only way to sort of get your music out there was to travel and try and get it out to as many places as you possibly could, and, gaining a lot of experience as well along the road, the school of hard knocks.
Indeed. Now, you're a graduate of the Griffith College of Music Producing for Games and Animation.
Yes, some people say they go back to college, but I went to college because when I left school, kind of high school, I did an apprenticeship and then for hairdressing in '94, and then I went to America, and so now in my life, after having done all that and done all the touring and performing and all that, I sort of wanted to set up a studio at home and be more home based and compose, because composing is really my absolute love, and performing is great too. I love it too, but none of that would happen without me writing my songs for me personally, because I wanted to sort of just put out and record my original work as opposed to doing covers, Right. And so this time I decided anyway maybe to set up the studio at home where I could compose and create and get the music out there. But I needed to learn the technology of recording software. I needed to learn all the studio engineering side of it. So I went to Griffith College. I went to Pulse College first, and I did 2 years there for audio and sound technology to learn actually how to, record music and on the software and on all the components that I needed for a home studio. And then I went back and I did a year in Griffith College in Dublin for music producing for games. So what I wanted to do then, because there's two ways, there's lots of ways to try and earn a living from music, and at this stage of my life now, the second half of my life, should I say, it's like work smarter, not harder. So I wanted to be able to compose music for visual media, so as well as other artists as well, to write for them and compose songs. But there's a good lucrative business too in composing music for film or TV or games. Games is a huge, probably bigger budget for music for games than there is actually for film soundtracks. and people wouldn't realise that, but games has taken over. You know, it's huge across the world, online gaming, and the production of them, they're so lifelike. You can see the characters, they almost make movies out of these characters, you know. It's sort of like between a sci-fi and an animated character. And so I went to Griffith and I learned, you know, because there is ways to learn how to do the music and, you know, to score it and that to anything visual on a screen. So that's kind of what I'm at now, doing more of the compositions at home, and that's one of them which led me to that song. The reason, I suppose, why you're calling me today was for the Christmas single, What a Blessing. I recorded that at home here, and I couldn't get, you know, with COVID lockdown, I was locked down, so I decided to set the studio up at home and record the elements myself. You know, you can do great things now with software. I recorded the vocals, the bass, and the piano, and everything, so, you know, right from the room without having to sort of go outside.
Right, that's absolutely superb. One thing that I've spoken to many artists about is the huge development of technology, how it's completely and totally changed the entire landscape of recording.
Yeah, you can be very self-sufficient now, whereas, you know, which is a good thing for artists like myself, but then it's not so good, I suppose, for the big studios where they're still, you know, striving to make a living and to have the big artists come in and record, you know. And so a lot of big recording studios, you know, have gone out of business, and, you know, because everything is compacting down to smaller, you know, and then being more self-sufficient at home, where you can sort of, the technology has allowed you to be independent, where maybe you don't have to go to the big studios, and it's very costly as well, you know, unless you have a big budget. Like that album that you have there, Blue Mandolin, that was a huge production album, and I did go to a beautiful studio, the Cauldron Studio, and have, you know, the best of recordings, and also they had separate rooms where you could do all the live recordings in separate rooms. So depending on what you want, I suppose, you know, whether you need a big studio if you're bringing in a whole band and you need to record them all separately, where you would have isolated rooms, and that you do need the big studios for that, you know. But for me, having a small setup here myself, I can, you know, do it from a small studio here with one isolation room for vocals maybe or something, you know.
Right, now that album did extremely well for you from back a few years ago, Blue Mandolin.
Yeah, it was. It's my proudest achievement in my music career, really, because it's, you know, the production is second to none on it, and you know, I spent everything that I did not have on that album. Like I you know, like you nearly buy a house for albums for what you spend on. But I had fantastic musicians, and Bill Shanley, who's a renowned guitarist musician here in Ireland, he produced that album for me and recorded it in his studio. And we had every player on that, from Mario Brennock to Richard Nelson, from, you know, Fran Breen, he came over from Nashville to do it, the drummer, you know. We just had so many fantastic artists on it, and musicians, and I won, you know, it got me a few awards, so I was, you know, really appreciative of that as well. But it did very well for me. I was very happy, you know, with it.
Indeed so. Now, you've had some tremendous achievements. You really have. Your music has been performed on many TV, radio programmes, RTE, Virgin Media 1, TG4, Sky. You've featured on Nationwide, Ireland AM, So Again O'Shea, Lord Shear, and you've got several awards for you know, original works. You had a song also, Light Up the Dark, which was actually a runner-up to Snow Patrol's song Run, as a soundtrack for the feature documentary entitled The Letters.
Yeah, that happened actually. A friend of mine, a music composer who I'd worked with in Los Angeles when I lived there. I had returned home at the time, but he called me up and said he was doing the music score for a feature documentary. It was about a story surrounding Mother Teresa, and it was called The Letters. And he wanted me to do an outro for the movie, for the soundtrack, to pitch it to his director. And they had what they had called is a guide, a temp track, which is almost, you know, cringeworthy to a musician's ear or a music composer's ear, because a lot of the time the directors, they would lock themselves into that guide track. It's almost they want that guide track, and that's nearly all they can hear as a sample. But so he asked me to come up with one anyway, and they gave me the end sort of part of the movie that I had to line it up visually and write a story, a little story, and the music theme of what they wanted. So it was, they had a few other artists in for it, but mine got narrowed down. It was between my song and the song from Snow Patrol, Run, who Leon Lewis had released a version of it. But it became down to a budget then, because if they went with Run, it would have been a massive budget. At the time they didn't have it. But in the end, then they did get a budget for it, so he just liked the track so much he went with that. So, but that's the way it goes in the business. You're never guaranteed anything. It's signed on the dotted line.
Indeed.
So, but it was a great experience, and it opened up doors for me then to compose music then for other visual medias.
I bet it did. As well as doing all of that, as well as your creativity and the writing, the singing, the performing, the collaboration, and everything else, you also actually do guitar lessons and vocal lessons.
Yeah, I guess it's a way to give back. I live out in the country here, and people always ask me, "Oh my gosh, I'd love my son and my daughter, my father, my grandparent to learn guitar, and to vocal coach as well." Because a lot of singers, when they're starting out, they don't sing correctly. They use the wrong breathing techniques. That their voice can be damaged. They can, tire out their voice very quickly. There's a lot of elements to know about that, and also guitar as well. I mean, there's plenty of guitar teachers out there, but just particular styles that I like to teach, and I just do it once an evening there, and I like to be able to sort of give back a little bit just to the everyday person. I mean, that's how I got taught was that. So as well as being a performer, to be able to give back as to teach, to pass it on to somebody else, is not a bad thing.
Indeed not. Well done on it all. You were busy, no doubt you're busy you've released this song for the Christmas What a Blessing. Yeah,
so I had decided then, actually I wrote it's a true story, as you probably read there in the notes, and it is a true story about a couple that I know who met at a wedding that I was at, and they asked me, they were coming up on their 1 year anniversary, and they asked me to write a poem actually about them. And so they gave me a couple of little lines. I kind of knew how they met. So the poem then turned into a song. So then I put piano and I put a melody to it, and I had the studio, so I was able to sit down and record it. So I was able to come up with the story and then the melody and record it and get it out. So it's a nice, true, humorous story. Seems to be quite catchy and captivating people's attentions. And since then, like for Christmas gift ideas, people were asking me, just offering just the average, the normal music fan, music lover, to be able to offer them something as well. They were coming to me just, as Christmas gift ideas or birthday ideas or anniversaries to write a story or write a song about their loved one or a shared memory, capturing it in a song, and that they can give it to their loved ones for a gift, which is a great little idea, and I enjoy it very much. Great fun, and that's actually how What a Blessing came about, was one of those little projects. And I asked them, could I release it, as a single, and they were absolutely thrilled. They said, don't tell anyone our names. They wanted to keep their identity, but they have since married, and then they're very happily together. So, it was a nice story to be able to put the final touches on that.
That's a lovely, lovely story. For anybody to find out more, they can go on your website. That's mariabutterley.com. You can get all the details on you there. Maria, listen, it's been lovely to catch up with you, and listen, to yourself and your family. Stay safe, stay well, and listen, keep on creating. And I look forward to catching up with you soon again.
Thank you so much, Jerry, for playing the song, and thanks so much for the interview. I was delighted. It's great to get a bit of airplay on this on the song. So thank you very much, and a happy Christmas to you and your family too. Thank you.